I think this is my favorite kind of video to do. I asked my community on YouTube, I said, ask me any question you want about chickens or, whatever. So this is the Ask Me Anything episode. We're gonna talk about a lot of things. We're gonna talk about preventing mites. We're gonna talk about diarrhea in chickens. We're gonna talk about giving your chickens an easy death. That's a hard one. And so much more. So buckle up, here we go. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. Okay, bye. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. Okay, one thing really quick before we get started. I want to let you guys know that this Ask Me Anything episode was brought to you by the folks at Scratch and Peck Feeds. I have to tell you guys, I have been using Scratch and Peck Feed since before Chickenlandia. I hadn't started my YouTube channel, I didn't have a website, but I was using Scratch and Peck Feeds. That's how much I love this company. It's not just about making money, it's really about supporting a company that I think is doing good things. I will leave their link in the description, go check them out. There will be a coupon code for you. Okay, let's jump right into this. The first question comes from Catherine R1742. What can you do for chronic diarrhea in chickens? They have been checked for worms by a vet, otherwise they are healthy. Is there any feed addition or adjustment? So is there something you can put in the feed, or do you need to make an adjustment? Occasional loose stool from a chicken is within the range of normal. One thing I would think of probably first is, has that chicken eaten like a lot of the same thing? Like, did you give that chicken watermelon and it ate a whole bunch of watermelon? Did it eat a whole bunch of blueberries? Like something that would give their stool a little bit of a looser consistency while it's moving through their body. The other thing I want you to consider is if it's super hot. Like right now in Chickenlandia, it is hot. So I'm not surprised if I see some loose stools right now. When it's hot, they will lay looser stools, and it should pass when the heat wave passes. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. If you have ruled out other things and you think it might be an issue, I would get some testing done with your vet. Now, you said that your chicken was tested for worms. You might want to check for other things, possibly coccidiosis. I definitely would start there so that you know what you're dealing with. But if you're just seeing the occasional loose stool and your chicken is looking happy and healthy, it may be within the range of normal. Another thing that you might consider if you want to change something about the feed that could possibly support their digestive systems really well is consider fermenting their feed. That's one of the reasons why I love Scratch and Peck Feed, because it ferments really well, and that's what I've been doing for ages. Right now I'm not fermenting their feed because I have a special needs duck that's not handling the fermented feed very well, but normally that's what I would be doing, and it's so good for their digestion. It's got all that good bacteria, so you could try that as well. And I do have a video where I explain how to ferment chicken feed. It is so easy. I will leave that for you in the description. From Kelly Stratton 1872. Concerning the deep litter method, my Bielefelder chickens love to lay in the pine shavings a lot, like most of the day. I'm concerned about mites. I think adding diatomaceous earth or lime would help to deter them. But would those products also destroy the whole purpose of deep litter method by killing the beneficial bacteria? If so, would it still be best to add them since I have the world's laziest chickens? Thank you for all you do. You are welcome, Kelly. So I for sure would not add diatomaceous earth to your deep litter method. I know that a lot of people do it, but I do think that it will have too much of an effect on the development of the beneficial bacteria that will help to make the deep litter method work. Regarding lime, I also feel like, well, doesn't that affect the bacteria development? I think it's one of those things where you might want to experiment with it and see if the deep litter method is still working for you. But here's another thought that I had. So there's one thing that I discovered recently that might interest you, and that is the use of beneficial mites in your chicken coop, in your chicken yard. These are mites that actually feed on poultry mite and other types of mites that can be a nuisance, but poultry mite is one of the things that they will feed on. So they can help to control that population of poultry mites in your coop and in your chicken yard. And they are called hypoapsis miles. Yeah, I think that's correct. I have not used the predatory mites yet. I mean, I just discovered them like 2 weeks ago. I have them on order. I am going to use them. I've got some mite stuff going on right now. Once again, I'm going to use them in the chicken yard, and I will talk about my experience with them at some point, but I'm super interested in what other people's experience is. So I will leave the link to the company that I purchased them from in the description. I am not sponsored by them. They're a really small company from what I can tell. That's something that you could consider trying if you are concerned about mite infestation and you don't want to add anything to your deep litter that might inhibit the development of good bacteria. Okay, from Ulisa 9863. Why did the chicken cross the road? You know what? They were on the hunt for alien life. They know the truth is out there. Okay, they've seen the face on Mars, and they're gonna prove it. That's my theory. All right, next question from @LisaDavis 9286. I am moving to an HOA at the end of this year. In your opinion and experience, can you list 5 of the quietest chicken breeds and 5 that you would consider the noisiest? Bonus points for them being friendly and cold hardy, would prefer non-broody, but I know I'm asking a lot. Ha ha! So, Lisa, my first question is, are you moving to this HOA and they don't allow chickens? Because if that's the case, you need to know, your neighbors will know that you have chickens. It doesn't matter if you have the quietest chickens. All chickens make noise, hens make noise. You could get a really, what's considered a quiet breed of chicken, and that chicken could sing the egg song for 20 minutes. So I don't want to lie to you and say, oh, well, if you get this breed of chicken, your neighbors aren't going to know you have chickens. It is very likely they will know. So I just want to put that out there, okay? You might want to talk to them first. That being said, generally quiet chickens that are considered cold hardy, and my disclaimer is rolling because they might not be that quiet. Buff Orpington definitely comes to mind. Wyandotte comes to mind. Black Australorp Brahmas, Speckled Sussex. Those come to mind. Generally, like the big fluffy chickens that are cold hardy, they're gonna be pretty quiet, just in general. Okay, and noisy chickens, Bantam Leghorns are very noisy. Bantam White-Faced Black Spanish are very noisy. Old English Bantams are very noisy. Basically, like funny little chickens are gonna be really noisy. Those are the ones that like to talk a lot. They're really chatty. If you get those, your HOA is gonna be giving you a call. Okay, this one is from @andhim. When you recently spoke about your chicken who died, and she's referring to a video where I talk about my sweet chicken, Jessica Lang. She lived to be very old, and she died recently, so I tell her story in a recent video. You said that you wished you'd given her the usual things you give to comfort a dying chicken sooner. I found that entire video really helpful and moving, by the way. What are the usual things you give to help a chicken have a peaceful death? Thank you for all your videos. And that's from Karen. Depending on the chicken and what you think that the chicken will prefer, You might want to either bring them inside and put them in a really quiet place where they can just be and they're not going to be stressed out by anything, or you can put them in an area where they can see their flock and the flock can see them, but the flock can't get to them, because when chickens are dying, they're really vulnerable to being attacked by the flock. And I know that's horrible, but that's just how the pecking order works. Speaking of pecking order, guys, calm down, please. So the main thing you want to do is just get that chicken comfortable and make sure that nothing is stressing them out. Aside from that, there are two things that I give to my chickens if they're dying. And these are not things that will make them die, that they don't work like that. They're just things that will help them to move through the process easier. Obviously, if you have a chicken that's like suffering really bad, you want to just get them out of their misery. But if you have a chicken that you know that they're on the way out and you want them to have a natural death, the two things that I give my chickens are, number one, the flower essence. I'm talking about a flower essence. I'm not talking about essential oils. I'm not talking about herbs. This is a flower essence, and it kind of works like a homeopathic. The one that I use to help to ease death is called Angel's Trumpet. And I think that's just a really good name for it. It's just to help them make that transition and accept that transition. And usually when I give that to them along with a homeopathic that I'm going to tell you about here in a second, they have a really peaceful death. So the homeopathic that I use to help with the death transition is called Arsenicum album. You can usually find the one in a 30C potency. It's going to come in a little blue vial. You can find it at the health food store. You can find it online. Again, this is a homeopathic that I'm talking about. It is not arsenic. I'm not telling you give your chicken arsenic. I'm telling you to give them the homeopathic remedy Arsenicum album, which is like energy medicine. It is not going to kill them. It is not going to make them die. The one thing that it will do is help to make their death more peaceful, because a lot of times when something is dying, it will fight and it can get, really just kind of anxious and everything. We don't want that. We want that easy transition. So when I have used these two things, Angel's Trumpet, the flower essence, and the Arsenicum album, homeopathic, I have had chickens that have died so peacefully. And usually, a lot of times when chickens die, they seize. And it can be kind of violent and hard to witness. And when I have given these products to these chickens, I've seen them just kind of lay down and just go in their sleep. So that's definitely preferable. And I know it's hard. Just remember, that chicken was lucky to have you. Okay, next question is from @Sylvia O. How long do chickens live on average? So chickens can live anywhere from like 3 to 10 years. There's a pretty wide variety there. I will say that production breeds in general, their lifespan, I think on average, I would say about 4 to 6 years. And the reason why it's on the lower end is because production breeds are bred to produce a lot of eggs in their first year or two of life. That's hard on a chicken's body, okay? That's what they're bred for. They're not really bred to live a nice long life. They're not bred for resilience. They're bred for production. That doesn't mean that they can't live to be 10 years old, but the average is less than that. Now, if you have a chicken like an ornamental chicken, a chicken that came from a breeder that was bred for, health and resilience, or maybe like a little bantam breed that was bred as a pet and for beauty, these are chickens that are not going to lay as much, and they're just going to be a little bit more resilient in general. So those are your ones probably going to live 7 to 10 years. Sometimes they can live a lot longer. And then, of course, there might be some production breed chicken that lives to be 13. That happens. So I don't want to discourage you. If you really want your chickens to live a nice, happy life, just give them everything that they need. Focus on their quality of life. And it's very likely that they're going to do quite well. And the time that they're on this earth is going to be really good. So just keep that in mind. Okay, from @everybodychill. What is your opinion on bachelor pads for extra roosters? So what Everybody Chill is referring to is a flock of just roosters. So let's say you got a whole bunch of fuzzy little bantams and they were super cute, but you ended up with 5 roosters. And instead of rehoming them or dispatching them, you take them and you put them in their own yard with their own coop, and they all live together. And I actually think that that's a great idea. Like if it's working for you, that is a great idea. Certainly, I think a rooster would rather choose to live in that kind of a flock and in that kind of environment than some of the other things like getting dumped in the woods somewhere or being abandoned or whatever happens to lots of roosters every year, okay? Every spring I see roosters abandoned and really treated in an inhumane way. That being said, I do want to mention, because at one point I had someone really pressure me to do a video about rooster bachelor pads and just say that this is what you must do. You know, you must do this with your roosters, anything else is wrong. And the fact of the matter is, not everybody has that kind of land. You know, not everybody can do that. It's just not possible for a lot of people. Even if they want to, they can't do that. So the one thing that I ask always is just to honor that see, he agrees with me. Just honor the life of that rooster, that it's a living, breathing being. Recognize that, treat that animal humanely, whatever you decide to do. Like, that's just my wish, and that is my request to anyone, regardless of whether or not you're going to keep your roosters, whether or not you're going to put them in a bachelor pad, or if you're going to decide to do something else with them. You just make sure that it's humane. Okay, that's my one requirement. Okay, from Ivern Novana 1664. Who came first, the chicken or the chicken or the chicken or the egg? What? Okay, the T-Rex came first, all right? I think. Who knows? Speaking of dinosaurs, if you or someone you know is just getting into chickens, you're just starting your research, I have a whole playlist. It is called Backyard Chickens 101. It's a great place to start, okay, if you're getting started, or you can suggest it to someone else if they're getting started. I'm gonna leave it on the screen right now. It's 100% friendly. Backyard Chickens, education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.